The Bible is the best-selling book of all time. Its pages contain the history of the Hebrew people, the Jewish people, and subsequently that of the Messiah. If you seek more faith and knowledge, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the Prayer Braze channel. Let's strengthen our faith together. However, whether due to skepticism or even ignorance, some doubt the veracity of certain historical events presented here. Is there a way to prove the things written in its pages? What if we seek evidence beyond the Bible? To begin, the very habitation of the people of Israel in Canaan since time immemorial was debated. Biblically, the people would have left Egypt and settled there approximately 3,200 years ago. The discovery that helped prove this was the Merneptah stele, uncovered by the British archaeologist Flinders Petrie in 1896 in the Egyptian city of Thebes. It is a granite monument measuring 2 meters in height. The stele contains inscriptions describing the victories of Pharaoh Merneptah in 1207 BCE. Its importance lies in being the oldest non-biblical reference to Israel. With 25 legible lines of hieroglyphs, the inscription also recounts the pharaoh's conquests in the land of Canaan. It is possible to read the following on the stele. Canaan is captive with all misfortune. Ashkelon is conquered, Gezer is seized, Yanoam has been brought to non-existence. Israel is devastated without any offspring. In other words, at that time Israel was already a people strong enough for their defeat to be mentioned. This indicates that the people had been established there long enough to build their own structures and possess a military force. The word Israel here was used to refer to the people, not the land. After all, the land was still referred to as Canaan. This implies that at the time the people should not yet have had a king. Thus, Merneptah most likely invaded Israel during the time of the Judges. This is proof that the Exodus happened even before the 13th century BCE, something that is confirmed in chapter 6 of the first book of Kings in the Bible. The importance of this stele cannot be denied. It is physical proof that the Exodus was not as recent as imagined. If it had not occurred before the 13th century BCE, when Merneptah invaded Israel, this city would not have been an established power in the region. Therefore, mentioning Israel by name in the records would have been completely unnecessary. The evidence contributes to confirming the biblical assertion that the Hebrews had been in Israel for at least 3,200 years. Impressive, isn't it? Science confirming the word? If you're enjoying these discoveries, like this video, subscribe to Prayer Braze and share it so more people can see how real the Bible is. Another of the most questioned characteristics of the Bible by scholars is the existence of some historical figures mentioned there. King David is one who faces such disbelief. Many doubted and still doubt his existence, as there was no evidence outside of Jewish tradition to prove that the ruler existed. However, concrete and specific evidence has led archaeologists to believe in the biblical narratives. If we exclude the Merneptah stele, the oldest inscriptions mentioning Israel are the Moabite stone, the Tel Dan stele, and the Kirk monoliths. Of these, the one that would contribute to confirming David's existence is the Tel Dan stele, written during the 9th century BCE. It was discovered in 1993 in northern Israel during an excavation led by archaeologist Avraham Biran. The rock fragment is also a type of record of military victories. On it, the victory of an Aramean king over his southern neighbors, the king of Israel and the king of the house of David, is recorded. The Tel Dan stele states that, under the blessing of the god Hadad, the Aramean king overcame thousands of cavalry and chariots before personally dispatching the 2 army commanders. Unfortunately, the discovery does not contain the preserved names of the specific kings who participated in the confrontation. Time ended up corroding this information. However, scholars believe that the evidence refers to the campaign of King Hazael, who defeated King Jehoram of Israel and King Ahaziah of Judah. This would not have happened long after David's reign over Judah. Therefore, it would be too short a time to invent a mythical ruler who was the ancestor of the other kings. It is quite reliable proof that David was indeed a literal leader and a historical figure of the Jewish people, not an invention. Even foreign rulers knew the kings of Judah as belonging to the house of David. In addition to the Tel Dan stele, another stele called the Moabite stone also refers to this supposed lineage of the king who defeated Goliath. Like his father, Solomon also faces some discredit. There is no ancient inscription with his name or physical evidence of that kind. Nevertheless, current studies for the most part agree with his existence. The biggest current debate is whether his reign was truly as powerful and prosperous as the scriptures claim. Biblical minimalists tend to say that around the 10th century BCE, the period of Solomon, Israel was a poor collection of weak tribes. Therefore, Solomon and his father would not have been much more than chieftains of these peoples. However, the excavations of Professor Yigael Yadin, however, contradict these findings. From 1957 to 1970, Yadin excavated the sites of Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. In all three places formerly inhabited by the people of Israel, similar architectural structures were found. The design, dimensions, construction, and artistic features in all three locations are very similar. Despite the vast distances, Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer were built in the same period and in similar ways. The width of the inner part is 4.2 meters, with wall widths of 1.6 meters. Measurements certainly impressive for a merely tribal, disorganized, and poor people. Because they are similar and were built at the same time, all the gates appear to be part of the same project. The archaeological remains, which include large gateways and 6 chambers, show that the constructions were monumental. These pieces of evidence point much more to a centralized and significant power. The cities are also separated by relatively large distances, covering most of the geographical territory of ancient Israel. This points to administrative control over a large area. Archaeologically speaking, Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer were built by the same powerful ruler, an individual with substantial power and regional influence. This leader is likely Solomon. In other words, there is evidence not only of his existence but also of the grandeur of his power. Let us read 1 Kings 9 verse 15. This is the account of the forced labor King Solomon conscripted to build the Lord's temple, his own palace, the Millo, and the wall of Jerusalem, as well as Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. It is not surprising that such monumental constructions were present during the reign of a king described as wise by the Bible. While there are other archaeological discoveries that contribute to many biblical accounts, but our time here is very short. The interesting thing is that, contrary to what many people think, science and religion often do not contradict each other but complement each other. These are just some of the many discoveries that confirm the scriptures. Science and faith complement each other and strengthen our understanding. If this video blessed your life, leave your like, subscribe to the Prayer Braze channel, and activate the bell to not miss any content. Share it with your friends and family. May God bless you all.